She made more money than most company bosses, got more respect than the top judges in America, and ruled daytime TV for 25 years. Judge Judy wasn't just a TV show, it was a huge deal that turned Judith Sheindlin into one of the most powerful women on TV. But here's what nobody talks about. At 82, the woman who could make anyone be quiet with just one look now sits in huge houses so quiet you can hear the emptiness echo through the rooms. The same strong will that built her success may have destroyed the relationships that mattered most, and the choice she made to become famous left hurts that millions of dollars can't fix. What really happened to the judge who once had America listening to her every word? And why does the life she's living now look nothing like the success story we all believed? The truth is sadder than you'd ever think.
Judith Susan Bloom wasn't born into power.
She grew up in Brooklyn in 1942, the daughter of a dentist father. She loved a practical, no-nonsense mother who taught her that words were cheap and actions told the real story. That lesson would shape everything that came after. But before the fame, before the millions, before America even knew her name, Judy was just another young lawyer trying to find her place in a world that didn't want women in courtrooms. After passing the New York bar in 1965, she got what looked like a solid job as a company lawyer for a makeup company. She was 23, wanted to succeed, and ready to prove herself. But within 2 years, she realized something that would bother her for many years. She hated every minute of it. The work felt like it had no meaning.
The days went on forever,
and deep down she knew this wasn't what she was meant to do. So she made a choice that shocked everyone around her. She quit, just walked away from a stable career to stay home with her 2 young children, Jamie and Adam. For 5 years, she tried to convince herself that being a full-time mother was enough, but it wasn't. The restlessness ate at her. By 1972, when a friend mentioned an opening for a prosecutor in New York's family court system, Judy didn't wait. She jumped back in, and this time, everything clicked. Family court was raw, emotional, and tough. Cases about abuse, neglect, custody battles, the kind of work that broke most people. But Judy did great. She wasn't there to make friends or make reality sound nicer. She was there to cut through the lies and deliver justice, fast and final. Her reputation grew quickly. By 1982, New York Mayor Ed Koch noticed her work and made her a criminal court judge. 4 years later, she was promoted again to supervising judge of Manhattan's family court. She had a style nobody could ignore, sharp, direct, and totally honest. Some called her harsh, others called her smart, but everyone agreed on one thing: you did not lie to Judge Judy Sheindlin. Then came 1993, and everything changed. A newspaper writer from the Los Angeles Times wrote an article about this firecracker judge in New York who was shaking up the system. The story caught fire. Producers at 60 Minutes saw it and invited her on the show. When America watched that segment, they couldn't look away. Here was a woman who didn't play games, didn't waste time, and didn't care if you liked her or not. She was real in a way television had never seen before. In 1996, television producers came to her with an idea: a courtroom reality show with real cases and real rulings. On September 16th of that year, Judge Judy started. Within weeks, it was getting millions of viewers. Within months, it was a huge deal. At its peak, the show got 9 to 10 million people every single day, sometimes even beating Oprah in the ratings. Judy became more than a judge. She became an icon. Her sayings, her stare, her entire presence became part of American culture. And the money. It was huge. By 2005, she was making $25 million a year. By 2008, that jumped to $45 million, and by 2017, she was earning $147 million every year, making her the highest-paid person on television. not just in daytime, on all of television. She filmed only 52 days a year, which meant she was making close to $900,000 per day of work. But here's what nobody saw coming. While Judy was building an empire on screen, the foundation of her personal life was quietly falling apart beneath her feet, and the cracks were about to become impossible to ignore. Success in public doesn't guarantee happiness in private, and for Judy Schindlin, the higher she climbed, the more she lost along the way. Her first marriage should have been a clue about what was coming. In 1964, fresh out of school, she married Ronald Levy, a fellow attorney who seemed like the perfect match. They had 2 children together, built what looked like a stable life. But beneath the surface, something was deeply wrong. Ronald never took her career seriously. To him, her work was a hobby, something she did to keep herself busy. That might have been okay in another time, but not to Judy. She had fought too hard to be treated like that. The anger built slowly, year after year, until the marriage finally fell apart in 1976. After 12 years together, she was suddenly a single mother, raising Jaime and Adam on her own, while trying to build a legal career in a system made to keep women out. The next year, she met Jerry Schindlin, a defense attorney with a sharp mind and a personality that could match hers blow for blow. The chemistry was instant. They married in 1977 and seemed perfect for each other. Both were tough. Both understood the law. Both did well under pressure. But even the strongest connections can break under the right kind of stress. In 1990, Judy's father died. Murray Bloom was the man she called the greatest thing since sliced bread, her hero, her anchor. When he passed, Judy fell apart. She needed Jerry to step up, to be there for her in a way he'd never had to before. But Jerry didn't know how to give her what she needed. He was a man who lived on logic and structure, and grief doesn't follow either of those rules. Frustrated and overwhelmed, Judy gave him an ultimatum. When Jerry responded with a challenge instead of kindness, she filed for divorce the very next day. The split shocked everyone. But here's the thing about Judy. She doesn't do anything without being sure. If she files for divorce, she means it. Except this time, she was wrong. Within a year, they both realized the divorce was a mistake. They missed each other. They needed each other. In 1991, they remarried, and this time, it's stuck. They've been together ever since, building a blended family of 5 children, 3 from Jerry's previous marriage, Gregory, Jonathan, and Nicole, and Judy's 2. But being married didn't solve everything. In fact, as Judge Judy exploded in popularity, Judy faced a problem that fame couldn't fix. She was never home. The endless filming schedule, the constant pressure to keep up her image, the non-stop pace of production meant she missed nearly everything that mattered. School plays, family dinners, birthdays, the small moments that build a childhood. Years later, she would admit that her biggest regret was not being there enough for her children. She carried that guilt everywhere, a weight that no amount of success could lift. One of her close friends said that Judy constantly blamed herself, always wondering if she'd done enough, always knowing the answer was no. Then, in 2011, something happened that forced her to face her own death. During a live taping, Judy suddenly started talking funny. Her face went blank. The sharp, quick woman America knew disappeared in an instant. Productions stopped. Paramedics rushed in. She was taken to the hospital where doctors gave the diagnosis. She'd had a mini stroke, a transient ischemic attack that could have been much worse. She got better quickly, but the scare changed something. She started working out daily, changed her diet, began taking medicine to prevent another stroke. But she didn't slow down. If anything, she pushed harder, as if trying to outrun the reality that time was catching up. Today, her 5 children are grown, with lives of their own. Family gatherings are rare. The distance between them isn't just physical, it's emotional, built from years of being gone that can't be undone. Even bringing her granddaughter Sarah Rose onto Judy Justice as a law clerk felt like an attempt to get back something she'd lost, a way to pass on a legacy to someone who might actually remember her being there. But the damage was done. And as Judy's fame grew, so did the list of people who felt left behind, including the one person who had stood by her side for over 2 decades and the problems that would make people question everything they thought they knew about her. For years, Judge Judy was untouchable. Millions trusted her. Networks paid her a fortune. She seemed safe from the kind of
Scandals that destroyed other careers.
But every empire has cracks, and Judy's were about to become impossible to ignore. The first real blow came from inside her own production. Former staff members started speaking out, and what they described was disturbing. They painted a picture of a workplace filled with bullying, unfairness, and fear. Much of the criticism centered on Randy Douthit, the show's longtime head producer. Claims against him included inappropriate behavior, mean words, and creating a place where speaking up meant losing your job. One producer, Courtney Bullock, filed a lawsuit, saying she'd been harassed and then pushed out after complaining.
Other former workers backed up her story,
Adding that there was a troubling pattern behind the scenes. Some even said that racial bias influenced which cases made it to air, with instructions to avoid booking too many black people in one episode. These weren't just whispers. Court papers and news reports laid it all out, and the question everyone asked was, how much did Judy know? She said she had no knowledge of any bad behavior, defended her team publicly, and continued to support Douthit. But for someone who built a career on holding people responsible, her response felt empty to critics. They argued that as the face of the show, she had responsibility not just for what happened on camera, but for what happened behind it too. Then, there were the cases themselves. One fight became famous online, known simply as the herpes case. Judy awarded $5,000 to a woman who claimed her ex-boyfriend had knowingly infected her. The ruling was quick and final, except there was a problem. The man later showed medical proof proving he didn't have herpes at all. The ruling was wrong. Publicly, embarrassingly wrong. Critics jumped on this. They argued this wasn't just one mistake, but proof of a bigger pattern. Judy made quick decisions based on emotion and performance rather than evidence. For a show that claimed to deliver real justice, it was a bad revelation, and it raised an uncomfortable question. How many other rulings had been just as careless? Over the years, more viewers started noticing things they hadn't before. People who struggled to express themselves, those who spoke broken English, people without school education were often cut off mid-sentence, made fun of, or dismissed. What once seemed like tough love now looked like being mean. Social media lit up with claims of judging people by money. People pointed out that Judy seemed really harsh toward poor defendants, those on government help, anyone she thought was irresponsible. The woman who claimed to stand for justice was being accused of picking on people, of embarrassing the weak for entertainment, and in a time where talks about inequality and unfair treatment were impossible to ignore, Judy's style started to feel old-fashioned, even offensive. But perhaps the most personal problem involved someone who had been there from the very beginning. Petrie Hawkins Bird, known simply as Bird, had been Judy's bailiff for over 20 years. He was the calm to her storm, the steady voice that kept the courtroom in order. Fans loved him. He was part of the magic. So when Judy launched Judy Justice in 2021 and Bird wasn't there, people were angry. He later said that he'd never even been asked about the new show. He wasn't asked to try out. He wasn't given a heads up. He found out the same way everyone else did, by seeing someone else in his spot. Bird admitted he felt confused and upset, though he publicly wished Judy well. Judy's explanation: the show needed a younger face to appeal to a new generation. She brought in her granddaughter Sarah Rose as a law clerk instead, a move that only fueled claims of giving families special treatment. To longtime fans, it felt like a betrayal. The woman who talked about loyalty had thrown aside someone who'd been loyal to her for many years. Then there was the messy split with CBS. In 2021, after 25 years, the network made a business choice that Judy took personally. Instead of continuing with fresh episodes, CBS paid $99 million for the rights to air reruns. They also pushed aside Hot Bench, another courtroom show Judy had created. To Judy, it wasn't just business, it was disrespect. She publicly called them out, saying they'd made the wrong bet and disrespected her creation. And if that wasn't enough, there were the lawsuits. Rebel Entertainment Partners, the company that had originally helped launch Judge Judy, sued CBS and Judy over profit sharing. They claimed they'd been cut out of their fair share, especially after spin-offs like Hot Bench were launched in secret. The legal battles went on for years, and while Judy ultimately wasn't found guilty, the claims left a stain. Even tabloids went after her. The National Enquirer published false stories, claiming she had Alzheimer's disease and had cheated on her husband. They later apologized, but the damage stayed. For someone who'd spent many years controlling her image, these problems were devastating. The untouchable judge was suddenly very touchable, and the public was watching every crack form. But even as the problems piled up, Judy kept working. She launched new projects, stayed in the public eye, and refused to fade away. The question was, did anyone still care? When Judge Judy ended in 2021, it wasn't just the end of a show, it was the end of a time period. For 25 years, Judy had been a fixture of daytime television, a constant presence in millions of homes. But instead of retiring, she made a bold move. She launched Judy Justice on Amazon Freevee, marking her first step into the streaming world. The show had all the familiar parts, real cases, sharp rulings, and Judy's signature glare. But something was different. The platform was smaller, the audience was narrower, and without the massive reach of broadcast television, the cultural impact just wasn't the same. Judy Justice pulled respectable numbers for a streaming show and even won her another Daytime Emmy, making her the only TV judge to win for 2 separate programs. But the spark was gone. Part of it was the missing pieces. Without Bird, without the familiar CBS set, it didn't feel like the Judge Judy people remembered. Sarah Rose tried her best, but she couldn't copy the chemistry fans had loved for many years. Younger audiences didn't connect with her the way older generations had with Bird, and longtime viewers felt pushed away by the changes. In 2025, Judy launched another project, Justice on Trial, a documentary series on Prime Video. This time, she wasn't handling small claims fights. She was looking again at historic legal cases, from the Menendez brothers to the Scopes monkey trial. The format mixed dramatized reenactments with legal analysis, a change from everything she'd done before. Judy appeared in period-appropriate robes, playing a lower court judge in scripted scenes, while members of her tribunal justice team served as an appeals panel. It was ambitious, thoughtful, and aimed at making viewers think critically about the justice system, but it also flew under the radar. There were no billboards, no viral clips, no cultural conversations. The show quietly dropped on Prime Video, watched by a fraction of the audience that once tuned in daily. The truth is, Judy's reach has shrunk a lot. At her peak, she spoke to tens of millions of people every week. Now, she's lucky to hit a few million on streaming platforms. Younger generations don't know her name unless their parents mention it. To them, she's a meme, not a trailblazer. Even her public appearances have become rare. She still shows up occasionally looking sharp and put together at 82. Samuel L. Jackson introduced her at a recent event, and people noted she still had that commanding presence, but those moments are few and far between. She's not chasing the spotlight anymore, and the spotlight isn't chasing her. The harsh reality is that Judy's time has passed.
She's still working,
Still producing, still trying to prove she's relevant. But the world has moved on. Television has changed, audiences have changed, and at 82, even Judy Shindlin can't stop time. Which brings us to the most painful truth of all, what her life actually looks like now, behind all those closed doors. At 82 years old, Judith Shindlin has everything she once fought for. A net worth guessed at $440 million, multiple luxury homes, a legacy cemented in television history, awards, honors, and a level of fame most people never touch. But here's what money can't buy: the time she lost, the relationships she neglected, and the quiet moments she can never get back. She lives mainly in Florida now with Jerry, who remains her steadfast companion after all these years. Their home is peaceful, private, everything you'd expect for someone of her standing, but those close to her describe a different reality. Behind the scenes, Judy deals with constant tiredness. She needs regular medical checkups to watch her health, a reminder that the mini-stroke she had over 10 years ago was just the beginning of her body demanding she slow down. Still, she refuses to stop working. Even now, she's looking at case files, filming episodes of Judy Justice, and staying involved in production decisions. It's as if she's afraid that the moment she stops, everything she built will disappear. Or maybe it's simpler than that. Maybe work is all she has left. Her 5 children, Jamie, Adam, Gregory, Jonathan, and Nicole, are all grown now. They have their own careers, their own families, their own lives that don't revolve around her. Family gatherings are rare. Holidays feel emptier. The woman who once commanded a courtroom with total authority now sits in mansions where the silence is deafening. She tries to fill the void with charity. She's donated money to educational programs, provided scholarships for students who need a fighting chance, the same chance she once fought for. She said she wants young people to have opportunities she had to claw her way toward. It's meaningful work, but it doesn't erase the absence her own children felt growing up. Sarah Rose, her granddaughter and current law clerk on Judy Justice, once revealed something telling. She said that despite Judy's tough exterior, there's a deep sadness underneath, a regret that only those closest to her can see. Judy blames herself for putting work over family, for missing moments she can never get back. Even her relationship with Jerry, strong as it is, can't fill every gap. He's older now, too, spending much of his time away from the spotlight, content to live quietly while Judy continues her non-stop pace. They're together, but in many ways, they're also alone in their separate worlds. At 82, Judy Shindlin is a living contradiction. She proved that a woman could dominate a male-driven industry. She broke barriers, built wealth beyond imagination, and became a symbol of no-nonsense justice. But she also proved something else, that success, measured only in money and fame, leaves you with mansions full of memories you never made and relationships you can't rebuild.